What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the iGaming Experience. I'm Sam Bhatti. I'm here in the Zebra Studios in gorgeous, stunning Podgorica, Montenegro. And today we're diving into a topic that's basically everywhere. AI. Artificial intelligence, right? You've seen it in headlines. I'm sure you've heard it in meetings. And I'm sure for a lot of you, it's become an almost meaningless term, right? It gets overblown and for a lot of people overhyped. But here's the thing. I think a lot of you already know this. AI is not just hype anymore. Okay. This is already doing real work in iGaming. And whether you're brand new to this industry or if you're just trying to level up your game, understanding AI is going to give you a serious edge. Not just in iGaming, but in life. But this is an iGaming podcast, so we'll look at it in that context. So in this episode, I'm going to do my best to break it down. We'll talk about where AI is already being used in iGaming, what I think is coming in the next 6, 12, 24 months, and why it matters. If you're on the tech side, the marketing side, or somewhere in between, you're going to be interacting with AI sooner rather than later. So let's get into it. All right. So quick level set. So we're all on the same page. Let's talk about what AI actually is. In plain English, AI is really just a system that can learn from data and make decisions. And what makes it different from previous technology is that it's not just following a set of rules. It's actually spotting patterns and adapting and getting smarter over time, right? It's not magic. It's just math running really, really, really fast. So you feed it a ton of data, like thousands or even millions and billions of data points, and it starts noticing things, right? Like, hey, people are playing Book of Dead for more than 20 minutes, and they tend to also deposit again in the next 24 to 48 hours. Cool. Just that one insight alone can be massive. The AI learns the behavior and it starts nudging similar players with offers, messages, content, whatever it is, at just the right time. Now, imagine that across a whole platform. Game recommendations, bonus offers, fraud detection, customer support, right? All powered by AI that's constantly learning, constantly adjusting. And here's the kicker, right? This is already happening, right? This isn't 5 years away. This is right now. Let me break that down. What's AI actually doing today in iGaming? I got 4 points. Number one, personalized marketing. This is probably the most obvious use case, right? A super simple example. AI helps operators send the right message to the right player at the right time. It's not just, hey, here's a 100% deposit bonus. It's more like, hey, Sam, you usually play after work on Thursdays and tend to go for games with high volatility. And here's a new one you might like. That's not a human marketer doing that. It's machine learning models running in the background. Today, platforms like Optimove, Simplify, there's another one called Future Anthem. Yeah, I think so. They're helping operators to take this to the next level. Right? They don't replace the marketing team. They essentially supercharge it. They give your team the data, tools to speak to the players more personally, more effectively, more often. And it also helps with retention, which is arguably the most important thing in iGaming. AI can predict when a player might be about to churn, right? Also known as stop playing. And it can automatically trigger a personalized message, maybe with a free spin, a reminder of an unused bonus, something like that. And it works. Personalized content performs better across the board, iGaming or not. AI or no AI, the goal is always to try to speak to the players as individuals. Right? That makes sense. They want to be seen. They want to matter. Personalization does that, and then some. All right, second point about what's happening right now in iGaming is fraud and risk detection. So from a human perspective, this one is absolutely massive. AI is way faster and better than humans at spotting sketchy patterns, especially when it's trained on the right data. Like, let's say someone is logging in from different IP addresses across multiple countries, or they're suddenly putting in max bets. They've never done that before. Well, AI is going to flag that instantly. Right? You got companies like Featurespace and Xeon. They're kind of the leaders in this area. Featurespace, they're using adaptive behavioral analytics to understand what a normal looks like for each player and spots anything off. And then I believe you've got Xeon with a more modular style system that helps operators detect fraud and whether it's new accounts or suspicious transactions. To be honest, I've barely seen this in practice, so I'm kind of going off of some of the things I've heard and read about, but I'm hearing good things. I'm hearing this is real and this is going on right now. So we all need to be aware of this, myself included. I really need to dive deeper. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing this episode is I am hoping that someone is going to holler back at me, or a lot of people are going to holler back at me and say, hey, Sam, there's also all this other cool AI stuff that's happening right now that you're totally missing. So don't be shy. Hit up your boy. Tell me what's happening. Right? Because this stuff, it's not just about saving money, right? It's about protection. Your platform, your license, your players, all of this is getting an extra layer of protection by having this eye in the sky that's just constantly watching and is looking at all the activity. And importantly, and I'm going to keep underscoring this, it doesn't replace your fraud or risk teams. I know that a lot of operators or owners are probably excited about that, but that's not how it's going to work, at least not in the near future. It just gives them the tools to be able to act faster, right? They're going to be able to catch more, focus on edge cases that really matter. Right. So third point on this is responsible gaming. Right. AI is helping make the industry safer. And a lot of jurisdictions now, they require operators to monitor for signs of problem gambling. Most jurisdictions, I would say. And AI makes that way more efficient. Right. It looks for red flags like deposit spikes, chasing losses. What else? Like playing at weird hours, right? Super long sessions, all that stuff. When it sees patterns that would indicate potentially risky behavior, it can trigger a pop-up, let's say, or freeze your account, or notify your responsible gaming team, right? Your RG team. And just to be clear for newbies in the industry, RG stands for responsible gaming. And you're going to see it all over the place. You'll see it more and more, as it's quite a hot topic in the industry today, as it should be. But, I don't think that there's a summit or a conference that you can attend that won't have a significant responsible gambling section. And typically there are a couple of good speakers or companies that you can go and visit and get a little bit educated on what they're looking at, because they're really at the bleeding edge of this stuff. And as regulations get more and more stringent across the world, this is going to be more and more important to all departments. So a little bit of an aside here that's outside of AI, but responsible gaming is kind of a big thing. And in fact, a company that's doing really fantastic work here is Mindway AI. So shout out to my friend Neve Gallagher. She's crushing it in their marketing department. Neve and I got to speak on a panel together in Dublin for the Edge conference, which was a poker tournament / iGaming conference with a very strong focus on crypto, artificial intelligence, and responsible gaming. So I actually got to meet some really cool people and learn a lot about what different companies and different individuals are doing within the space industry. So Neve actually showed how Mindway AI is working and how they use basically a combination of behavioral science and machine learning to assess player risk in real time. And then that would give the operators some actionable insights on how to handle it. Like that could mean some of the stuff I mentioned before, like a cool off message or a locked account, or even better, like a call from a support agent or some other recommended RG intervention. Catch that, newbies? RG. And again, this is not about automation replacing anybody, right? And especially not replacing responsibility. It's about giving your compliance and your support teams the visibility that they need to step in early, confidence, and take the right action before you have a player getting themselves into trouble, right? Prevention is one of the things I really learned in Dublin from some of the panelists I heard over there is 90% of this, the issues that people have can be prevented. And it's a lot of times just a matter of spotting it and then taking a couple of simple actions. All right, so last point on where we're at right now is customer support. So let's be honest, chatbots, they used to suck, right? They were like, press 1 for this, press 2 for that, just some basic logic tree that you're going down. But let's also be honest that now they don't really suck, right? You've got AI systems. They're trained on millions of real conversations. Like they understand your natural language. They can answer questions with way more contextually, and they know how to bring in a human being when they need to, right? So you've got several tools out there. Tools like there's one called Ultimate AI, which I've only got some outside experience with, and then another one which I've used a little bit, which is called Zendesk AI. They're really pushing this forward, right? They're not just about detection. It seems like they're more about helping your support team deliver better service faster. However, and this part is really important, I've kind of said it before, but in particular for customer support, I do not think AI should replace human support. Not even close. Like I know the cost savings are there, but especially in iGaming, where players are dealing with real money, they need to feel heard. They need to feel understood and looked after, right? That requires a human being on the other end of their call. Just full stop. AI should be there to help, not to replace, especially not in this case. So thinking of it like with AI, you're giving your support agents like a super dialed in assistant, that's super eager and someone to draft answers or suggest their next best action or pull up the relevant player or game data so that the agent can spend less time searching and clicking around and more time actually solving the problem for your customer, which is why they're both there, right? Retention is everything. All right. So that's kind of where we are now. That's what's there. Let's start to look ahead a bit. Where is this going? Right? Where do I see this sort of shaping up in the short term? I would say in the next 6 months, we're going to see AI tools that help marketing teams go into absolute overdrive. Like I'm talking about tools that are going to write your promo emails. They're going to generate banners. They're going to A/B test your copy. They're going to make custom landing pages. I mean, that's been around for a long time. And this is going to happen automatically, right? It's going to feel a bit like magic. It's not magic. It's artificial intelligence, and it's amazing. Now, smaller teams, I mean, how do I put this? Smaller teams are going to be able to do the work of, like, I would say conservatively 5x their size with the help of these tools, right? It's already happening. It's only getting better, right? You got Smartico, right? A company like Smartico, which is a gamification tool. You've got Optimove. They're creating just like really next level smart segmentation, and they're using that to deliver like these insanely targeted campaigns, kind of similar to what I had mentioned earlier in this episode. Like, I've not had a chance to use either of these systems either, but I've had a couple of people describe it to me, and unprompted, by the way. And one person put it as, Sam, we're about to hit set it and forget it marketing. Right? So that part I'm still wrapping my head around, to be honest. Something tells me I'm not alone with that, but people in the know are feeling like eventually you're going to be able to just set up your system and, for the most part, let it crush for you. So I'm blown away. Absolutely blown away. All right, so in 12 months, this is my prediction, we're going to see AI start creeping into more like the product and the game development. Right, so 12 months is just 1 year from now, right? It's going to happen somewhere along that timeline. Studios are going to start to use, I mean, if they're not doing it already, they're going to start using AI to analyze the features that players engage with the most, and how they interact with the game. And then they're going to have new mechanics off of that. Maybe they can figure out a new volatility curve, some creative bonus features that players will respond to, maybe even like region specific, right? So, it's taking some of the knowledge that we already have and just really just putting a supercharger on it. So, like, AI can, we've got humans that can do this. It's just AI can help identify it faster and, frankly, more accurately and with less resources than human analysts. So, and something else I wanted to mention too, because I think that this isn't something that really comes up. It's just something I had thought of, is like voice interfaces, right? I use voice command all the time on my phone and even my computer. And that's also like chatbots used to suck. It doesn't suck anymore. It's pretty good. Like, I can still complain here and there, but like Siri and the name of what Google uses, of Google Voice, but it's they've gotten a lot better. If you thought they sucked before, it might be worth giving it another try. So, like imagine a player showing up on your site and they just say, like, show me games with minimum bets that are lower than 50 cents and with an RTP above 97%. Right? Boom. AI is just going to curate a list, drop it in front of them, and with one prompt and one click, they're going to be maybe in a new place that they've never been to before. And you're gamifying it, and the retention aspect is going to be there as well. So that's where we're headed. And I think for most of you, that's not too big of a stretch to imagine, right? Like, are the things that I'm describing now, if you use ChatGPT or any of these other tools, I don't think that what I'm saying sounds that outlandish. But brace yourself. I'm not done. So let's jump to 24 months, right? So 2 years from now, things could get really interesting. And I expect they will. I think we'll see AI not just supporting the business, but actually running chunks of it, right? So you're going to have autonomous CRM systems. You're going to have AI-powered affiliate optimization tools, like the odds. I mean, I haven't even touched on the odds, like real-time odds monitoring. Maybe even like AI and not even this is going to happen. AI is going to be dialing in deep with your risk management team, and giving the operator a really specific idea of how much risk that they should be carrying on a certain match or in a certain market. Which again, like today, a lot of these things take experience. You can't just feed it into a computer. You actually need a human being that's done this for years and years to actually make these calls. I mean, wow, this is wild tech, right? So there's also a bit of a wild card here too. There's something that I just heard about yesterday, actually, that I would like to mention. And I don't know exactly how this is going to fit into the scene, but I just feel like this is too interesting to not talk about, and it's hardware. Right now, I don't have a guess as to what the first product will be, but yesterday I learned that OpenAI, right, yes, the company that makes ChatGPT, they've announced a partnership with Johnny Ive's company, which is called IO. And if you don't know who that is, well, like Johnny Ive is the guy who designed the iMac, the iPhone, the MacBook Pro, the Apple Watch. I'm just in Apple. He's got a whole other ecosystem of beautiful things he's designed. He's like the Dieter Rams of our generation. And if you've never heard of Dieter Rams, by the way, look him up, because all the stuff that we're using today, all the Apple stuff, you'll look at some of the designs from Dieter Rams, Dieterrams. Look up his stuff, and you're going to see where a lot of this hardware was inspired from, especially the stuff he did with Braun. But just an absolutely, I would say probably the world's greatest product designer. Maybe Dieter Rams and Johnny Ive, 1 and 2 here. So, and like, yes, some of you are probably screaming, hey, didn't Steve Jobs make all that? Yes, Steve Jobs had the vision. Johnny Ive had the skills to execute. Right, and to give Steve Jobs what he was asking for, which not many people in the world could. So all I know is they're working on an AI device that's meant to be as game-changing as the smartphone was. So iGaming or not, you gotta keep your eyes on what they're working on right there, because that could just, not to be too grandiose, but that could change the world. So let's keep it up, shall we? I'll keep you posted. Imagine that in the gaming space, seriously. You've got devices that are designed to like blend entertainment, personalization, voice commands, like augmented reality, virtual reality. I can't wait. I mean, it sounds wild, I know, but it's not far-fetched. Like these guys are actually doing it. All right, let's take a step back. Where's AI actually making the biggest difference? Right now, in my opinion, it's mostly marketing. Right? That's where the low-hanging fruit is. The better targeting, the higher engagement, the smarter retention. Like if you work in CRM or digital team, I hope at least that you're already seeing this and you have been for months. If not, good thing you're listening to this episode. But the bigger shift is happening in operations. A little bit of a secret here. It's just quieter. AI is like, it's starting to play a role in like strategy, forecasting revenue, like compliance, pattern spotting, optimizing the live betting odds, managing game lobbies and page layouts. Like it's subtle, but it's powerful, and it's being effectuated as we speak. So in the long run, right, like right now there's just a small, I shouldn't even say small, but it's not hitting the operations side, I don't think, as much as the marketing side. But in the long run, I think operations is going to get the biggest ROI by far from AI. The stuff that saves time, and most importantly, really, it's going to help you improve your margins. Right? You're going to be able to really get the optimal products out there to the customers that want them at the right time. Right? And when that starts to take off and you start to get new clients and new customers and new first-time depositors, you're going to be able to scale and probably not need to scale up your team as massively as you might have before. And again, I'm really not trying to advocate for not hiring human beings, but let me just keep it real with you, right? So, all right, let's real talk here. If you're just getting started in iGaming, what should you actually do with all of this that I'm saying? So first of all, this is what I've been telling a lot of people this, inside of iGaming, outside of iGaming. Don't stress about becoming an AI expert. Okay, you don't need to code, but you should understand the basic principles, right? You should understand how models are trained, what data they need, how they're being used, just on a fairly simple level. I don't need this to be incredibly granular, but you shouldn't be confused by it. You should have some idea of just how these models are employed and how they get the knowledge that they have, the quote unquote knowledge. So I touched on it at the start of this episode. If I didn't give it to you enough, then I would say use an AI tool and ask it to explain itself to you, and they'll usually be pretty spot on. Right? The next thing for newbies, or for anyone that's trying to wrap their head around AI and iGaming, is learn how your company uses, and don't be invasive, but learn how your company uses data. Okay, where does it come from? How is it stored? How is it used in marketing or compliance? That knowledge is actually gold. I cannot stress that enough. It sounds ridiculous if it doesn't touch your job area, but I'm telling you, it's just even if it's not your area to ask about, just make sure people know why you're asking. Okay, this is going to give you a better overall holistic understanding of the way that iGaming works, the way these platforms work, and then specifically how your company is handling all these things, right? As a CTO, I would be thrilled if someone came from the compliance department and they said, hey, I'm interested in how the tech works, even if it doesn't directly affect their jobs, I will make time for them. And okay, maybe that makes me a nerd, but I like talking tech. All right. Cool. The third thing on this is play around, man. Experiment. You all heard of ChatGPT. You've got Grok, you got Claude, you got Perplexity. These all have free versions. Try them out. It doesn't matter really which one's a specialist in this or that, or which tool is more optimal for deep research versus coding, or just play around. Try them. Right? They're not just for fun. Right? They can make your job easier. They really can. Right? Whether you're writing copy, or you're brainstorming ideas, you're analyzing someone else's performance or your own performance, right? Or just doing industry research, just trying to learn more about this industry of iGaming. It's not just a game changer to use AI tools, right? It's the game changer right now. I cannot stress that enough. Right. And the last thing I would say related to all this is just stay curious. Curiosity is going to take you far. And as I just said, this space is moving fast, right? The people who get ahead, they're not the ones necessarily with the fanciest titles. They're the ones who stay open, right? They try new tools. They ask smart questions. They up their skills and they become undeniable. Right. So outside of AI, in fact, this is a nice little, I think, a life lesson that I've taught to several of my nieces and nephews, and maybe some of my younger colleagues. So if you're, resonating with that, or if that's not, a lesson that might be new to you, then good. Dial in. Get it done. Be curious. All right. I'm digressing, as I love to do. But that's it for today's episode. So, hopefully now you've got a clearer view of how artificial intelligence is actually working in IT. Okay, not just in theory, but in ways you'll run into every day with your job. Right? So, thanks for listening. If this episode helped, please share it with someone new to the industry. right? I've gotten a few comments now from some people that were just dipping their toe in the water. And, believe it or not, even though I'm keeping it as high level as I can, some people are getting some real value out of this. And so if that's not you, if you already knew everything I just said, share it with someone new. I guarantee you that most of the people that are in this industry that are new to it, they're going to get a little nugget out of some of these things that I've said. And related to this, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the show. I've got way more beginner friendly, no BS episodes coming soon. So we keep it real around here. All right, so thanks for hanging out with me. I'm Sam Bhatti. This was the iGaming experience in the Zebra Studios in Podgorica, Montenegro. Catch you next time.